nobody. Our Father who art in heaven. When Mother decided that the corner treatment was no longer, maybe tomorrow I'll get dinner redone. I wanted to disappear. You are nobody. You are an it.
From infancy, children are dependent on their parents for survival, but in 1 in 7 cases in the United States, survival turns from dependence on parents to a struggle against them. In his best-selling book, A Child Called It, David Peltzer reveals his early life subject to horrific child abuse, the courage he had to overcome it, and the impact it had on him. Speaking for the voices of thousands of the abused and unheard, this is his story. Today, David Peltzer is recognized as one of the nation's most renowned communicators. Honored as one of the 10 outstanding young Americans in 1994, he has received personal commendations from Presidents Ronald Reagan and George Bush for his success in helping others help themselves. As a young boy, David grew up in Daly City, California in the 1960s, in a family which he referred to as the Brady Bunch of the 1960s. Happy and loving, they seemed to have the perfect life. But it wouldn't last. Alcoholism and emotional instability would turn David's mother from a firm but loving maternal figure to a monster. His father, a fireman, was often gone at work and unaware of the abuse that went on at home. Early on, punishments ranged from sitting in a corner to having his face shoved in a mirror and being told repeatedly, "You're a bad boy."
I graduated to the mirror treatment.
As abuse escalated, David's mother began to starve him, subjecting him to eating only leftovers from his brother's meals, if anything, and initiating physical abuse as well as emotional.
Maybe tomorrow I'll get dinner.
Not just with daily physical violence, but with sick-minded games did David's mother continue to eat away at his childhood. One day, as one of his countless chores, David was commanded to clean the bathroom on his hands and knees.
Yes, ma'am.
He was handed a bucket of cleaning solution and shoved and locked into the bathroom. In the bucket was a deadly combination of Clorox and ammonia, the fumes of which filled the enclosed space and nearly killed David. He was 8 years old. Estranged, starved, and beaten on a daily basis, David was being robbed of his childhood, humanity, and any hope of escape. There were not only events of kicking, burning, and even stabbing, but constant verbal dehumanization.
You are nobody. I wanted to disappear. I hate you and I wish you were dead. You are an it.
A bright boy and a hard-working student, David found solace in school, not only because it was far away from his mother, but because he had opportunities to steal food. Over the course of his school career, David's wounds, downtrodden appearance, and food thefts gained attention from the faculty. It wasn't until David was in the 5th grade that significant action was taken. One day, when a 5th grade David came in with especially gruesome bruises, the principal, Mr. Hansen, remained passive no longer and called the police. After years of grief and torment, David would be taken away from his mother and the misery he had always known.
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Although David's cases was one of the most severe in California history, his story is not uncommon. As an adult, he has fulfilled his life helping those who suffer in similar ways with his public speaking skills. The remarkable part of Peltzer's story is not just his courage to survive, but his drive to truly live.
The power and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
In writing his book, David Peltzer's main purpose was to educate and inform about the harsh reality of child abuse and its impact on its victims. And with first-hand experience, Peltzer writes in a style like that of a young boy to create a deeper level of connection and elicit sympathy from his audience. One of David's rhetorical techniques was his use of names. Mom is the name he uses for his mother during his early, happier years, which becomes Mother when abuse becomes the staple of their relationship, finally turning into an altogether unforgiving and unrepeatable title. Formalizing his mother's name during the time of abuse in his childhood demonstrates the increasing estrangement he feels from her. Peltzer is also at his most elaborate in his description of his mother, with verbs such as snarled and barked, and comparisons of her voice to that of an evil witch. Simply but poignantly written, David Peltzer's A Child Called It is a must-read for those unaware of the harsh realities of child abuse, and those who are to be inspired by one child's courage to survive.